Hi, if you're watching this, you probably are already know who I am because we're like connected on Facebook or some other social media or YouTube. But my name is Nick Gross. I'm a physicist and an educator, and also I'm a political junkie and tend to watch too much news for my own good. And of course, in this current season, pre-election season, following the polls and data way too closely than I is probably helpful. So I thought as a way to sort of make use of this uh, and turn this into something that's helpful, I'd make some videos for people to talk about a couple of different things that I follow in some detail that can be misunderstood and require some analysis. And in particular, you're seeing them on the screen. There are these two polling models or predictive models of for the election. One of them is you may be familiar with the outlet 538, which was independent and now is part of ABC News. Um, and they do political analysis, but around they focus on data of various sorts. So they try to be data driven, in particular around polls and polling models. The And this is the newer of the two models I'm going to discuss. The older one was the original 538 model, but it was the intellectual property of Nate Silver, who was the founder of 538, and then the managing editor, and has since left after they were acquired by ABC News, and has struck out on his own. He's doing other things now, but he also on his own website took his portion of the 538 model with him as his intellectual property and is has his own prediction going. And as you can see, the two models vary, but they also have a lot in common with each other. My goal, I've got a couple of goals in doing this series of videos. What I hope is going to be a series of short videos. And those goals are to both inform you about these models and but also help you interpret these models, help you understand what the models are telling you, because it can be very not complicated, but it's a little subtle. Um, and it can be misinterpreted, not by the model makers. The model makers are very clear about what they're doing, and I listen to both Nate Silver and 538 on a regular basis. Again, probably too much than more than I should. But it's and they aren't trying to hide anything, but there's a lot that goes into these models. My other purpose is to make you aware of not falling into some traps, right? And so one of the traps right now you can see on the screen is that these two models have diverged from each other. The 538 model shows you with Harris as having this is a forecast of win probability, right? And so Harris has a 59% chance of winning, and Trump only a 40% chance of winning, whereas Nate Silver's model has Trump up 52, much closer race, but Trump up 52 to 47. Don't These two models aren't saying very different things. They're saying pretty close to the same thing, which is it is a very close race. And these win probabilities are not a scoreboard. Don't think about them as who's up and who's down. Think of them as probabilities. This is the likelihood. I'm not going to say if you ran the election today, because neither of the model makers like that analogy, but if you ran the election, if you threw the dice and you threw the enough you only get to throw the dice once when you run an election, right? That there's a pretty close probability that either of these candidates will win. All right. So over the course of the next several videos, I'm going to talk to you about what goes into making these models, how to interpret some of the output from these. There's all sorts of different output. I'm going to scroll down. They actually put out very similar sort of results, or they present their results in very similar sort of ways. That's not surprising. It's a data-driven model. There's a map. I'll explain a little bit more about this map. There's various tables to show. There's, in this case, this is the polling average that goes into the model. There's also 538 has this very nice little snake chart showing you where the tipping point states are and where the battleground states are. And then there's some other displays as well that can be a little bit complicated. Then, interestingly enough, there's these unusual scenarios. In any case, I hope that you'll join me for the other videos. If you don't, one of your takeaways is this is a very tight race. Don't get fooled by any individual poll. The polling models are an important tool for understanding where the race is at and how tight it is.